dreamlike paintings of lakes, canoes, cabins, forests and more. Peter Doig, one of Britain's most important artists, is a contemporary painter best known for his dreamlike imagery, drenched in an enigmatic aura. Doig's source material for his paintings is varied, most often drawing inspiration from photographs, films, etchings or personal memories. But what is the impelling force driving the artist to create these absolutely mysterious paintings? What resides and lures beneath the canvas and beneath the brushstrokes? Welcome to the story of Peter Doig. Peter Doig was born April 17, 1959 in Edinburg, Scotland. At the age of 3, in 1962, he moved with his family to Trinidad, where his father worked with a shipping and trading company, and then in 1966 they moved to Canada. In the end, he moved to London to study at the Wimbledon School of Art from 1979 until 1980, followed by the St. Martin's School of Art from 1980 to 1983, to conclude his MA in painting at the Chelsea School of Art in 1990. After receiving his Master in Painting in 1990, Peter Doig would make an expressive body of works which would launch him onto the art scene, reaching the highest echelons of the art world. For instance, the painting Grasshopper from 1990. Based on the viewpoint of an insect whose perception of the world is found at ground level, Peter Doig created the grasshopper using 3 equally spaced bands that command its composition. Broadly colored yet intricately detailed, this device appears to mimic the geological strata which construct the Earth. The top band contains the abstraction of the sky, created from the thin veils of vivid blue, masked with successive layers of dragged and dabbed paint. The middle band contains the land, a small settlement isolated in the deserts of an arid landscape. Infused with a rich warmth of light, this is a nameless landscape in the middle of a barren land of no specific time. The only clue to its identity would be the single figure buzzing around the garage. Or what about The Architect's Home in the Ravine from 1991, another monumental painting, oil on canvas. Plainly in view but physically inaccessible, Peter Doig half obliterates the architect's home in the ravine with an underbrush as dense as a half-finished Pollock, and the scene becomes foreboding, something out of an Edward Hopper or an Andrew Wyatt painting. Peter Doig's paintings of Le Corbusier classic modernist apartment blocks offer mysterious utopia, cosmopolitan dream architecture, nestled in or imprisoned by tangling wilderness. It's the nowhereness of the scene which is strangely uncanny. The bright minimalist grit of the building beaconing through the dark shadows of the trees. An everyday glimpse from a suburban sidewalk, twisted into something magical, a set from a contemporary fable. It has no physical orientation or weight, only the intangible presence of a fleeting moment. In 1995, Peter Doig painted Orange Sunshine. The contemporary snowboarders seem oddly out of place in the Renoir dappled sky and the Rhin speckled drifts. But it's the way Doig masters the illusionary effect of the paint that creates a convincing, almost tangible fourth dimension. The muffling stillness of the air, the soggy feel of slushing snow, the crisping smell of twilight. Doig plugs into a nostalgia that photography can never capture. The physicality of his paintings makes these generic memories more vivid and desirable than the viewer's own. Another example of this notion can be found with the painting titled Canoe Lake from 1997. Themes of magical realism stream through Peter Doig's works, capturing timeless moments of perfect tranquility, where a photo album memory flits in and out of a waking dream. Drawing from his Canadian childhood and one of the spookier scenes from Friday the 13th, Peter Doig's canoes have become a seminal image in his work. Their reflection in the water, like a double life, is a fantasy mirror to the unknown. Canoe Lake is rendered with unsettling perfection, capturing not just a spying view over a fence, but the strange echoing silence of drifting on a lake. The impossible stillness of the current and the cloying warmth of late summer air. Doig was invited to return to Trinidad at the turn of the millennium in 2000 to take up an artist residency with his friend and fellow painter, Chris of Philly. This extraordinary walk of life, visiting extraordinary places, is strongly reflected in his artistic practice. His illustrious career is built upon an extensive body of paintings. Doig's source material for his paintings is varied, most often drawing inspiration from photographs, films, etchings or personal memories. He developed a distinctively figurative visual language, with his paintings referring most often to personal memories from his childhood in Canada. In an expressive manner, Doig takes on the selected found source material and layers his landscapes. His unique style resulted in early recognition from the early 1990s and onwards. Doig would eventually exhibit at major institutions encompassing Tate Britain, Musée d'Art Moderne de la Ville de Paris, Schirn Kunsthalle in Frankfurt, Germany, the Dallas Museum of Art, the Scottish National Gallery in Edinburg, the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, Fondation Baylor in Basel, or the Lausanne Museum of Modern Art in Humlebach. Peter Doig would also participate in the 56th Venice Biennale. Further, on the secondary market, his works have sold for 7 up to 8 figures at auction. His large-scale paintings, titled Swamped from 1990, sold for a whopping $39 million in 2021 at Christie's. This particular painting is an example of the British artist's merging of the abstract and the figurative, featuring a single white boat floating amid a pond of weeds and tree stumps. It is safe to say, today, Peter Doig is one of the most important artists in the world. At the end of the 20th century, he was partially responsible for the reinvigoration of contemporary figurative painting. Today, he nested himself strongly in the canon of the 21st century, being one of the most important painters of his generation. The reason why Peter Doig rose to such astronomical heights in the art world is not only because of his decades of training and his extensive education in the arts throughout the 1980s. The true power of his oeuvre consists of something one cannot be taught, train, or even grasp fully as a viewer. Beneath the brushstrokes, we encounter painting in its most pure form, genuine, sincere, and honest art. His talent, intuition, and personal effect in his works are the true foundation of his artworks. Doig distances himself from strongly conceptual undercurrents in his works, or the art market's ludicrous prices, or the superstar status of highly established artists, such as himself. Instead, Doig brings us a whiff of poetry, mystical pictures, and an overall elusive character marked by enigma residing in every single brushstroke by the master's hand. This was the story of Peter Doig.